This is what a person who's on their way to hell looks like. Have you ever heard someone say something that just made you shake inside, made you have fear, not because of you, but because of them? You were afraid for them so much so because of something that they said, something blasphemous. Well, we have such a thing. This is what we're having today, where people are literally impugning not just the people of Christ, people in the Bible, apostles and prophets, and diminishing them for the sake of elevating themselves. We see that nowadays. But we even have people who have said some outrageous things even about Jesus. You've heard a few before.
Jesus never reached his potential.
85% of Jesus's life, he was out of order.
Now, there are things people say that who are not Christian or claim to be Christian that say some things. We're not talking about them. We're not talking about atheists. We're not talking about Muslims. We're not talking about anyone like that. We're talking about people that profess to be Christian. Well, here's one lady who we know, if nothing changes, she is going to find herself in hell.
This has been my favorite Bible story for a very long time. It used to be because it's such a blatant example of the humanity of Jesus. He screws up bigger here than in any story I know.
This lady says, so that's just ridiculous. One of his better or bigger screw ups that ever. So what she's really saying is that not just this time that Jesus screwed up, but there's been other times. How are you a Christian if you think that Jesus screwed up at any point in time? Remember, this is the very same Jesus. The Bible says that he who knew no sin, he made him who knew no sin to be sin on our behalf. He was the one who had no sin in him. So he didn't screw up. So that people like you who do screw up, people like myself, who I mess up all the time, that he would be the sin debt for us. That part is clear. Has she not read her Bible? Well, clearly she hadn't, or she's reading it with progressive colored glasses.
This woman is Syrophoenician. She is from the city of Tyre, which was considered unclean. From the sounds of it, she is not married, which means that she is divorced or widowed or abandoned. In a culture where a woman's social capital is defined entirely by her connections to men.
Can you tell she has an issue with men? I don't know if that just jumps off the page or off the screen for you, but that seems pretty evident to me.
This woman is an outcast. So she asks him to heal her daughter, and Jesus responds by calling her a. He said to her, "Let the children be fed first."
This comes from the Cultist show, and apparently I guess she calls the word for a female dog. Well, Jesus didn't say that. Jesus didn't say that, but I guess she added that for effect. But let's look at the passage that she's talking about. She's speaking about Matthew chapter 15, when Jesus is speaking to the Syrophoenician woman, the woman of Cana, and calls her a dog. But look at the setting. He says, "But he answered and said, I was sent only to the lost sheep of the house of Israel." So notice how he says this. He's not saying that I only came for just them and no one else. So let's go ahead and look at this. And we're going to look at this in the Greek. He says, "Uk apasilein." So not I was sent, ame, except I's to, ta probata, that is a sheep, ta apolota. So I only came to, I was sent, or let me just back this up. He says, not I was sent except to the sheep of the lost house of Israel. The point that he's making here is that I was sent for these people. It's kind of like when you go to the store to pick up, some bread and some milk, but you also come back with some oranges. You come back with some cereal. You come back with flour. What you were sent for was this, but you also came back with that. By the way, we know that all of this is kind of in context. He's going to deal with the sheep, the house of Israel, but also to make restitution or atonement for even not just Israel, but others. But the point is what the lady says, and then Jesus responds. He answered and said, "It is not good to take the children's bread and throw it to the dogs." Now, is that an insult? Well, today we might take it as an insult. But remember, we've got a famous person in the Bible whose name literally, who's not by birth Jewish, but whose name is literally translated as dog. That is Caleb. The Hebrew word for dog is Caleb. And so It's not necessarily a put down, but what it really is, if you accept that, you understand really who you are, especially in light of your sin before a holy God. But she said, yes, Lord. Notice what she calls him. She calls him Lord, but even the dogs feed on the crumbs which fall from their master. Remember, we're told that salvation is of or from the Jews. And Jesus said to her, O woman, your faith is great, and it shall be done for you as you wish. And her daughter was healed at once. The point that this lady is missing is her humility towards God. She doesn't deserve anything, not worthy of anything. And she received what he called her because she understands that that's what she is. I understand it. You should understand that that's what you are. You are no better than the worst of the worst. And she says, I understand, Lord. And she, recognizing who he is, demonstrated her faith. That was the point of this story. That's the point that this progressive lady is missing, which is why she's going to find herself in a place that she doesn't want to be. Her ultra progressive, super liberal self is going to find herself in before a holy God, before, at this point in time, an angry God, one who is angry of sin. And you won't get to say that Jesus screwed up. As a matter of fact, you'll be face to face with all of your screw ups. Think about that, saying that this was one of the better or bigger screw ups that Jesus ever had, as though he's had many. It's kind of a blasphemous thing to say. And so this literally looks like this lady here, if she doesn't change, needs to take a look at herself in the mirror, get a good look at herself in her surroundings, because where she's going to be in eternity won't be as pleasant.